Let's talk about some of the gameplay updates. For starters, the biggest change is generators will now take 90 seconds for a single survivor to repair. It used to be 80 seconds. If you take into account a perk like Thanatophobia that works off of slowing down repair speed of survivors, a 4-man team, all injured, would make a solo generator take 110 seconds. So that's a huge buff for perks that slow down survivors' interaction with generators. Killers kicking a generator now immediately cause a 2.5% loss of progression in addition to starting the regression. So this gives the killers a little more incentive to actually kick a generator because the time it takes for them to kick will kind of be applied to the regression of the generator. So if a survivor comes back and wants to tap the gen, they would actually have to touch the generator plus work on the generator for 2.5 seconds to negate that kick versus just tapping it like they used to. Bloodlust now triggers faster than it used to. The first tier is the same timer, but Bloodlust tier 2 triggers 5 seconds faster. It used to be 30 seconds, now it's 25 seconds. And Bloodlust tier 3 now triggers 10 seconds faster than it used to. Tier 3 used to take 45 seconds to get to, now it's 35 seconds. Time to kick a pallet or wall has been reduced to 2.34 seconds, and it used to be 2.6 seconds. Kicking a pallet now is quicker, so why speed up Bloodlust? Time to kick a generator was also reduced. It used to take 2 seconds, now it takes 1.8 seconds. And keep in mind, it does apply that 2.5% regression loss. So 1.8 seconds to kick a gen causes a survivor to have to work on the gen for 2.5 seconds. Cooldown time after a successful hit has also been reduced. It was 3 seconds, it is now 2.7 seconds. In addition to that, the duration of the survivor's speed boost from getting hit by the killer was reduced to 1.8 seconds, and it used to be 2 seconds. That means there's a half a second total difference. Now factoring in that 0.3 of those seconds are from the killer and 0.2 are from the survivor, and if you take the killer's speeds of 4.6 meters per second and the survivor's 4 meters per second, you can actually calculate the meters lost from a survivor's perspective. For a 4.6 meter per second killer, it ends up being 2.18 meters lost against your standard M1 killer with no perks. Survivors now have a modified version of Borrowed Time as a baseline ability, no perk required. An unhooked survivor now gets a 7% movement speed bonus and endurance for 5 seconds after being unhooked. Speed bonus and endurance effect are removed if the survivor performs any conspicuous action. There's also the new term conspicuous action, which includes repairing a generator, healing yourself or others, cleansing or blessing a totem, sabotaging a hook, unhooking a survivor, and opening an exit gate. Let's talk about the killer perk changes. Barbecue and Chili was adjusted to remove the blood point bonus. Corrupt Intervention was changed. It now deactivates when any survivor enters the dying state. It also still has the 2-minute duration, so if no survivor enters the dying state within those 2 minutes, it still becomes disabled. Chlorophobia was changed with the added effect now that it increases the rotation speed of skill checks by 50%. It also still reduces the healing speed by 50% if you are within the terror radius. Dark Devotion now triggers when a survivor loses a health state by any means. Previously, it used to just be basic attacks. Eruption was changed to reduce the progression of a generator by 10%. Previously, it was 6%. It also increases the incapacitated status effect from 16 seconds to the now 25 seconds. Noed, or Hex, No One Escapes Death, now has the Hex Totem's aura shown to survivors. It starts at 4 meters and slowly expands to 24 meters over the course of 30 seconds. Hex Ruin was changed. Once any survivor is killed, the Hex Totem, if it is still up, will turn into a Dull Totem, disabling the perk. The perk Jolt has had its cooldown removed. Knockout now reduces the recovery speed of any survivor that is under its effect by 25%. Lethal Pursuer received a buff that increases the aura reading duration by 2 seconds whenever a survivor's aura is shown to the killer. Note this effect also applies to the duration of normal Lethal Pursuer. It reveals survivors for 11 seconds at the start of a match. Monstrous Shrine has now become a Scourge Hook, and it also grants 20% faster entity progression if the killer is not within 24 meters of the hook. Basement hooks also now count as Scourge Hooks. Overcharged was buffed. It now starts regressing the generator at 75% speed and slowly increases to 200% speed over the course of 30 seconds. Overcharge becomes faster than the default regression speed after only 12 seconds, and it can still be combined with Call of Brine. Originally on the PTB, it started at 100% speed and increased to 400% speed, but the devs felt that it was a little too extreme, especially combined with Call of Brine, causing generators to quickly lose all their progress. Pop Goes the Weasel was also changed. Previously, when you would kick a generator, 25% of the total charges of a generator would be removed from the current progress. Now, when you kick a generator, only 20% of the current progress is removed. So previously, if a gen was at 25% and you kicked a generator, it would go back to 0. Now, if you kick the generator and it's at 25%, it will only remove 20% of that 25%, effectively only removing 5% of the progress of the generator. The Scourge Hook Gift of Pain was buffed to increase the repair speed penalty. It previously used to be 9% at tier 3, and it is now 16%. The Scourge Pain Resonance was nerfed slightly to remove the scream effect of survivors repairing on the exploded generator. Thanatophobia received a slight buff to the repair, sabotage, and totem cleansing speeds by 0.5%. Thanatophobia also was indirectly buffed by the increased repair time of generators. Tinkerer was changed with a slight nerf that it can now only be triggered once per generator. Now let's talk about the survivor perk changes. Borrowed Time was reworked to account for the baseline version of the effect. Now with Borrowed Time equipped, survivors get an added 10 seconds to the baseline endurance and haste status effects from being unhooked. Meaning when a survivor is unhooked, they will get 15 seconds of haste and 15 seconds of endurance. Botany Knowledge was changed to remove the medkit efficiency bonus and increase the healing speed bonus to 50%. Previously, it was 33%. Botany Knowledge was considered too powerful when used with medkits during the PTB, so for the live update, a 20% efficiency penalty has been added to medkits when healing with Botany Knowledge. This will cause medkits to run out of charges more quickly. Home Spirit was changed to increase the chance of avoiding alerting crows to 100%. It was already 100% at tier 3, but this was just changed to be 100% on all tiers. Then they added the effect that allows you to open chests, cleanse, and bless totems silently, but at a 30% reduced speed. Dark Sense was reworked so that each time a generator is completed, Dark Sense activates. While Dark Sense is active, the killer entering a 24-meter radius of you has their aura revealed to you for 10 seconds. Once the aura's duration expires, Dark Sense deactivates. The effect triggers if the killer is already within the 24 meters when the perk is active. And here's the big one. Dead Hard was finally nerfed. They removed the dash and dodge element of the perk. You can no longer Dead Hard to gain distance. Dead Hard now activates and grants the survivor half a second of endurance. Previously this was 1 second, but it was changed for the full release to require more precise timing to use effectively. An animation is played while it is active so the killer can see when the perk is used. The survivor is also locked in that animation so they cannot do any other action while Dead Hard is active. Decisive Strike was also nerfed. The perk and its effects are now disabled once the exit gates are powered. The perk is also disabled if the survivor performs any conspicuous action. The stun duration was also nerfed down to 3 seconds. It used to be 5 seconds. Deja Vu was buffed. You now gain a 5% repair speed when working on generators revealed by Deja Vu. Distortion was reworked. They reduced the starting tokens to 3. They also removed the stipulation preventing the perk from activating when in a killer trap. They added the ability to regain a token for every 30 seconds you're spent inside the killer's terror radius. You cannot gain more than 3 tokens though. As a small quality of life improvement for the live update, Distortion will now have an audio cue when a token is used. Hope was buffed. It now no longer has a time limit, so once the exit gates are powered, Hope is active for the remainder of the game. Another big one, Iron Will, was nerfed. Grunts of Pain are now only reduced by 75% at tier 3. Previously, this was 100%. They also added the stipulation that Iron Will does not function while exhausted. So once you use an exhaustion perk, your Grunts of Pain will now be full volume until you recover from exhaustion. Not all survivors' Grunts of Pain are the same volume, so in a future update, BHVR is going to review the volume levels of all survivors' grunts to ensure that each of them can make use of this perk effectively. Lightweight was buffed. It now reduces the scratch mark duration by 5 seconds. Previously, it only reduced it by 3 seconds. They also added that your scratch marks are also spaced inconsistently. For Lucky Break, they added the ability to heal other survivors to gain seconds back to the perk. For each 1 second spent healing another survivor, it increases Lucky Break's duration by 1 second. Lucky Break's duration cannot be increased beyond its starting value of 60 seconds. No One Left Behind was buffed. It now activates when the exit gates are powered. Previously, it only activated when the exit gates were opened. They also added that when unhooking a survivor, the survivor gains a 7% movement speed bonus for 10 seconds. The big one everyone was talking about, Off the Record. Now once you are unhooked or escape from the hook, Off the Record activates for 80 seconds. You gain the Endurance status effect during this 80 seconds. Endurance status effects goes away if you perform any conspicuous action. Slippery Meat, up the ante, Off the Record. Anybody? During the PTB, it became clear that Off the Record was basically a replacement for Decisive Strike during the end game. As a result, this perk is now going to deactivate and remove its effects once the gates are powered. You will no longer have the Endurance effect from Off the Record once the last generator is completed. Overzealous was also buffed, increasing the repair speed buff to 8%. Previously, it was 6% at Tier 3. Also, the bonus can be doubled if you cleanse a Hex Totem, making the repair speed bonus 16%. Pharmacy now guarantees an emergency medkit in every single chest that is opened when injured. Saboteur was buffed to show Scourge hooks in the yellow aura if a survivor is being carried. Self-care was nerfed. The healing speed bonus is now only 35% at Tier 3, and previously it was 50%. It also removed the medkit efficiency bonus. Sole Survivor received a buff. When you are the last survivor alive, you gain a 75% action speed when repairing generators and a 50% action speed while opening an exit gate or the hatch. Spine Chill got reworked. If the killer is within range and looking at you with clear line of sight, your speed while repairing, sabotaging, healing, unhooking, cleansing, blessing, opening gates, unlocking the hatch or a chest, it is increased by 6%. The effects of Spine Chill linger for half a second after the killer looks away or is out of range. Lots of deaf and hard of hearing players relied on this Spine Chill perk as a replacement for the Terror Radius. To account for this change to Spine Chill, they have temporarily added a visual indicator to Spine Chill's icon that displays the Terror Radius's strength. In the future, when they've got something else in place to compensate for the Terror Radius, they plan on removing this indicator from Spine Chill. Tenacity was reworked to add that grunts of pain while in the dying state have had their volume reduced by 75%, making it harder for the killer to locate you. We're Gonna Live Forever was reworked. It no longer provides additional blood points. Instead, the new secondary action activates whenever you perform a safe unhook, take a protection hit, rescue a survivor by stunning the killer with a pallet, or rescue a survivor by blinding the killer. While the perk's secondary function is active, healing another survivor out of the dying state grants them endurance for 10 seconds and deactivates the secondary function. Inner Focus was unchanged on the PTB, but it will be receiving a small tweak in time for the release of the mid-chapter. Currently, Inner Focus allows you to see the scratch marks of other survivors within 32 meters. They're removing the range requirement entirely, so people with keen eyes will be able to spot distant scratch marks as well. Thank you for watching my video on the 6.1.0 update. Leave a comment and let me know what you're most excited about in the upcoming patch or what you're least excited about, and consider hitting that like button and subscribe. It would really help out the channel.